Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of the live action adaptation Moana. This is, of course, based on the Disney animated film from 2016, was it? And the sequel that came out just a couple of years ago, Moana 2, but this is based on that first film, and it stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson reprising his role as Maui, the demigod from the animated feature. And let me just rip the Band-Aid off. I debated on even doing a review for this movie for one simple reason. Well, let me give you a little backstory first. I enjoyed the Moana films. I really liked the first one. It was really, really good. The second one, not so much. It was all right, but it wasn't as good as the first one. And when you know the backstory of Moana 2, it was initially going to be serious on Disney Plus, but they just compounded together and just made a feature film instead. So you kind of got that feeling from watching it. But I'm cool with the Moana franchise. This is, hands down, in the age of remakes and reboots and live action adaptations, this is the most unnecessary remake or live action adaptation, whatever you want to slap on it, I have ever seen in my life. This made no sense whatsoever. The movie itself was fine because it is a beat by beat remake of the animated film. There was zero changes. If you've seen the animated film from 2016, you're seeing the live action adaptation. The only difference is there are live people in it. There are actual human beings in the film. I caught flashbacks of when I went and sat down and watched the Lion King remake. It was the exact same thing, carbon copy. The only thing I'll give this over the Lion King, at least there was human beings in this movie. In the Lion King, they just remade an animated film with computer generation animation. It was the same thing, yet that movie made $1 billion. I guess it was the allure of it. I mean, it got my money, yeah, so I can't really get mad at that, but it was the exact same movie. There were subtle changes, subtle little differences that they made in the movie, in the live action adaptation of Lion King, which, you had to do because you're transferring from animation to quote unquote live action. And Moana, I really couldn't pinpoint a difference. I couldn't pinpoint one thing that they changed from the original. The songs are the same. The dialogue is the same. Everything's the same, with the exception of one thing. I just thought about it. There's one thing there is different about this movie, and that is Maui, and that is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He is completely different, and the reason I say that, it was something about his voice acting as Maui in those films that just had the typical Dwayne Johnson charisma and excitement and flair to it that made that character exciting. Not in this movie, not in the live action movie. I'm looking at him in this film, and he looks like he'd rather be anywhere else than making this movie. It just did not give that same aura that we received in the live action films. I don't think it's necessarily his fault per se, because that character is so over the top, and I don't think that would have translated over to live action well. And Dwayne Johnson, he did, I'm not going to say he mailed it in. He did what he did. It was fine. It's Maui. he has Maui tendencies throughout. Yeah, I mean it's the same voice coming out of him, but even the voice, even his dialogue didn't come out as energetic and charismatic as it was in animated films. I guess you're more free when you're in a booth and you can uh, do silly faces and make certain motions to get that voice out, to get the energy to match the animation. And it's different. So when you translate it over to live action and he's doing the same role, he can't really do that. You got to stay in a certain mode as an actor, on camera. You can't twist your body and contort your face a certain way to get those emotions out vocally. And that was a big difference in this movie. That was the only difference in the movie. Like I said, it wasn't bad. Yeah, Dwayne Johnson wasn't bad. It was just the same thing. It was borderline boring, you know, because I know the story. If you watch the movies, you know the story. You know what's gonna happen next. You know what song they're about to sing. You know what the next scene is coming up after this. It was the same thing. So it was borderline boring. The only thing that kept it from being just boring was it looked gorgeous. It was a beautifully shot film. The actress, Catherine, I can't pronounce her last name. Not gonna try and butcher it to give her a little respect. But this is a feature film debut as Moana. She was excellent. She was great. She was great. I enjoyed her. I think she's gonna be something special going forward. Can't wait to see what's next in what's in store for her in her career, because she really dove into this and it felt like Moana. It felt like she was the actual actress who voiced her in the films, because she really captured that vibe. But she's not. This is a different actress, and it still had that same vibe from her. So if that didn't work, the movie would have fell apart. So she really did channel that energy that we received in the two not live action, but two animated films that we had already received. But aside from that, and the visual effects that looked excellent, the music from Lin-Manuel Miranda is still it still slaps. So it doesn't go anywhere, even though it's the same songs. But you enjoyed those songs, and it was good to hear those songs yet again. That's it. That's it. I don't have any yay or nay about the film. That's why I'm gonna give Moana a C. It was average. It was the same movie. It really was the same movie. But to be fair to Moana, I feel that way about all Disney's live action adaptations. I don't like them. I don't like none of them, because we get the same treatment. It's the exact same movie. Nothing changes. The only movies I've noticed in the live action little era that they're in right now that were different, they tried something new, would be Cinderella. They tried that. It was a little different. I enjoyed Cinderella. The Little Mermaid, they tried some new things in there. Some things worked, some things didn't, but at least they tried. And Maleficent, the first one. I think Maleficent was the best of the live action adaptations of these Disney classic animated films. Not part two, but yeah, part one, yes. The rest of them, nah, they were just carbon copy and paste of the animated films. And unfortunately, Moana did the same thing. But I would like to know, did you enjoy Moana? Did you think it was they needed to make this? I want to know who was clamoring for a Moana live action adaptation. We just got the second film in the animated form a couple of years ago. I remember going there with the fam and a couple of friends of ours, and we all went out to go see Moana 2 one night. And we were like, okay, it was fine. We enjoyed it. And then I don't know what it was. I think they announced it like a month after the release of Moana 2 that they're doing the live action. I'm like, Jesus, we just saw this. I mean, come on, pump the brakes. Had they waited maybe 5-6 years or something like that to do a live action adaptation, maybe I would have received it a little better, but it's so fresh. It is literally 10 years, almost to the day that we got the animated film. So it's still pretty fresh in our minds. And that's not good when you make a beat by beat, almost shot by shot remake of that. And unfortunately, this doesn't work, at least for me. But maybe you feel differently. Let me know. Hit me up on our website, thekbradionetwork.com. You can subscribe there and get notified of new episodes that drop. You can also subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube. Like this video while you're there, if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of the live action adaptation to Disney's Moana. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.